Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of our Football Focus SG podcast with myself, Faiz. We have Harun Nazir Nafi, Mr. JB, and also welcome back our long-time fellow Mr. Jeff. Welcome to the show, guys. How are you guys doing? Harun Nazir, how are you doing so far?
I'm good. All's been well. Anticipating the under 23 competition coming up starting next week. So yeah, looking forward to more football in days ahead.
Yeah, Mr. JB yourself, how's football treating you as a Man U fan now after SPL ended?
Mixed bag. It's almost like a roller coaster, but yeah, looking forward to this weekend, the big one.
Oh, the big one, yes, against Liverpool for sure. So, Mr. Jeff, yourself, how do you feel after the SPL ended?
Relief.
Really? Okay, I just got one question just to ask you guys before we start on. Okay, if you guys can sum it up in one word or one sentence of our SPL season, this season alone, what would it be? I'll start with you first, Mr. Jeff. If you can summarize in one word or one sentence for this season alone of everything.
I would say local pride.
Local, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the main word, local, right? we know that LCS have won, so we're gonna touch on each and individual teams later on tonight. Harun Nazir, yourself, like, what would you summarize this whole thing?
A great season.
A great season.
Yeah.
Mr. JB, yourself, you've been an LCS fan, of course. Throughout the whole of our podcast, you've been showing how much you support that. What are your summaries for SPL?
I think if I put it in one word, it's unexpected, really.
Really
Despite me being a
unexpected.
fan, despite me being a fan, I wasn't expecting LB Rex to be, kind of dropping the pace a little bit, but yeah, I would say unexpected, but it's unexpected in a good way, yeah.
Yeah, but we have to agree that this is one of those season where the race goes down to the wire in the final day, and like at one point, I think everyone's watching two matches, everyone's checking live score. At one point in time, LBRX was first and LCS was second at one point, but a lot of things happened in the final day, and we're gonna go through it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do some ratings, each and individual teams from the 8 to first, rate their season from 1 to 10. Of course, from 1 to 5 is 1 to 4 is bad, 5 is average, 6 to 10 needy, good, or excellent. Right. So we're gonna start off with Young Lions, which obviously ended up last as per, if I recall, our last podcast together with Mr. Jeff here. He did mention Young Lions. One thing they will be finishing last, and they did. However, I do want to emphasize that they did not really finish last on a whimper. They did put up a bit of a fight, although yes, their final win wasn't really much of a consolation or anything, might be a consolation win. But I will start first. Young Lions, I think personally, with Philip All as the coach, they did really well. I think I will give them a 7 out of 10. I will give a 7 out of 10. Mr. JB, I'll go to you first. Young Lions, what will you rate their season?
Well, at some point they do have that spark, throughout the season. There are moments where you feel that, hey, they can finally get out of their usual slump, which is the 8th spot. But overall, I feel they did improve, in certain aspect of their game, and I think credit must be given to the coach and also the players. So my rating for them would be a 6.
6, okay. Mr. Jeff, over to you for Young Lions. What do you think? I mean, I know you kind of expected them to be last, but were you impressed by them this season?
Yeah, they definitely chalked more points than they did before. Previously, they were only on 9 points, and in this season they are doing 16. Right, it's almost double the tally from what they had previously. So just looking at it, they have one more wins, but they lost much they drew a bit more than previously. So overall, I think just by the number of points they have collected, definitely shows that they are capable of getting points off the other teams, right? So on that, I would kind of agree. It's a 7. Not only where they are, but in terms of how they approach the game. They have been consistent despite a lot of changes in terms of the players coming in, especially for weekdays and weekends, like I said before. But I think the philosophy remains consistent throughout the game. They try to press, they try to play. They do make mistakes, but I think it's all the learning process. A fairly good season, and I think the other thing is they also give some confidence about the under 22 team going into the regional competition. So the fact that people acknowledge that gives warrants them to have a much better rating than usual.
Yeah, I think we do notice that I think there's a lot of young Lions players now are getting called ups already, getting more and more called ups for under 23 or the main squad. So I think they definitely deserve those call ups. And Harun Aziz, over to you. Young Lions season summary for you.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with what Mr. Jeff mentioned. I think they had a good season, not a great season, a good season leading up to the AFC Under 23 competition starting this Monday. I think could they have done better in the league? It's a little bit difficult. They're a young team, of course, with players coming in and out. A good season, good preparation leading up to under 23 competition. I'll give a 6 out of 10 for me.
6 out of 10. Okay. So moving on to the next team, which is the 7th spot, and that's Balestier Khalsa. I will start with you, Harun, first. I don't know. Personally, I feel it's a mixed season for them. But what do you think? Is Balestier deserve to be there? Considering they have a top scorer who is in the top 3 there.
Yeah. So with Balestier, I think they had a mixed bag kind of season. I was expecting more with the kind of players that they have. They started the season with Zaiful in goal. They have Zuzul in the squad, Kiki in the squad. I feel settled they have a settled foreign players of sorts. I think their foreign players are settled in the squad. I was expecting more of them actually, for them to finish 7th. With the way that the league is going, it's surprised, not surprised. So yeah, whatever that happens behind the scenes, and I cannot say much about Balestier because, in all honesty, it's neither here nor there for me. Balestier Khalsa, with whatever that happens off the field, I'm gonna give it the number that comes to mind is 4. I'm gonna give them a 4 out of 10. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. JB, over to you. Balestier Khalsa, how are you? Do you agree? Like after the fallout with Zaiful Nizam and all that, what do you think?
Well, Balestier, I have to agree with what Aaron, as you mentioned. Actually, they do have the quality players, especially their foreign players like Zuzu and all this. But defensive wise, I don't think they did very well. I think the number of goals they conceded is quite is quite substantial, and they kind of have a dip. I think even before the whole entire case with Zaiful, before then also, I don't think they were the front foot or showing any signs of being under or anything, let alone the top 2 or top 3. So I would say quite a disappointing one. I mean, looking at the stats here, but it seems like last year they finished higher of points that they got. So it's kind of neither nor there lah. But
I
to
mean, just
finish
3
number
points
7th,
above
I
Young
think
Lions. I mean, is that
Is that a
considered
great
anywhere
season?
in?
So probably 3 out of 10. Yeah, so I feel overall the entire rating for Balestier for me, I will give you a 3 because yeah, they definitely didn't improve this season as compared to last with the players that they have. And yes, as you mentioned correctly, they are only like 3 points above Young Lions. That's not good enough. So a 3 out of 10 for me, a disappointing one for them.
Yeah, then Mr. Jeff, over to you. What do you think of Balestier? I mean, you got a feel for Simi Zuzul. He worked a lot to get that kind of goal score, but only to end at 7. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I give them a 5. I mean, that's the expectation. This you look at the table, there's nowhere else they would go anyway. So are you expecting them to be at 4th, 5th? No, I don't think so.
Would you consider that as overachieving if they were to be above the top 4?
I think there'll be something that they'll be happy with, right? If they finish 5th, they're probably going to be very happy with that result. I think losing Zaiful definitely makes a lot of difference. The chap that took over him, I can't remember his name right now, makes some big howlers for sure. And because of that, definitely the defense are not going to be settled because you second guess your goalkeeper throughout the last few matches. I mean, it's like going from that to that, right? You have so much confidence with Zaiful last time.
Yeah.
You know that you always gonna have him back there. His distribution is great. Can play to the strength of Zuzul up front and even Jumbo up front. So I think he's just his distribution. I think that's the confidence kind of went away after a few howlers by the young keepers. But it is what it is. I don't expect them to do anything fancy than that. Zuzul hit a bit of a purple patch and went into a good scoring run. That kind of helped them. If not, they will be definitely fighting in the gutters with Young Lions. But I mean, you have a bit more senior players that can maybe get 1 or 2 points out of the bigger boys. But yeah, I think it's an expected season. I don't think they did badly. I would say 5 is reasonable. They pass, unless personally they have bigger ambitions. But
Yeah, I mean, especially now if the coach just left. So, what's next for them?
Sorry.
Like basically, they just have a new coach, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think they seems to be woken up by this season, or either that or they basically the last few matches is a write-off for them. And then just like forget it, let's don't get injured and then work into the next season. So we know there's big plans. So you never know. I think there's a lot. These things don't happen overnight. There's definitely rumors months before the end of the league. They probably will already know that the coach is going out. And there's no need to impress him. He's not the one who's going to sign us for next season, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that happened behind the scene that may have contributed to Balestier being maybe underperformed. But again, like I said, the coach may be going out. You're just going to keep fit. There's no relegation. There's no, so there's very little motivation for them to go 110% over the last few games, right? I'm pretty sure they know the coach is going out a month before the league ends anyway. So.
Yeah, so I think we all kind of expected them to just kind of write the season off already by then, right? So they just kind of look forward for the next season.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to number 6, which is Geylang International FC, and what better way to start? Because I did start with Mr. JB Harunasi first. So Mr. Jeff, I'll let you start first for your team.
Well planned.
Yes, well planned. But what do you think for their season? I mean, if you look at the table again, to be honest, they are just 4 points above from bottom. They have the same number of losses with Young Lions, except that they take draws to win a bit more. But what do you think? Initially, after the international break, they did well, and then it just
for one game.
Yeah, there was a one point of time they were scoring 4 goals or high scoring games, but just kind of did share with us your thoughts. How do you summarize Geylang season this
Uh, uh, Imploding.
year?
It implodes from the inside. So I think, yeah, Geylang without any doubt is the biggest underachiever in the league. I think there's no doubt about it. So many things to be said, so many disappointments. But at the end of the day, we we felt that I personally felt that since the last season after the resumption, they have been very erratic. It's a Dr. Jekyll and Hyde kind of team. Sometimes they come up guns blazing, and then they go on a bad run and things like that. So it was never consistent. There was hope when the season ended, somehow in a positive note that we qualify for AFC. And then some of the signings that we brought in kind of gave some hope that we're probably going to do something which is much better than last year and fix the problem that we saw in 2020, but it just got worse. So
Yeah, it's a very mixed season. I mean, you start off
there's no mix, it's just bad season.
Yeah. I mean, you start off with excitement with Moresh and Silvano Convelius, and then halfway Convelius decided to retire, I believe. And
yeah, he's still playing in the Dutch league somehow.
Yeah, I think he's playing
really
in the Dutch
retired.
league or something. He took a break and then he joined the Dutch league. And like there's a bit of a fallout, like what you said. And then there was a bit of a resurgence when they signed Zaiful Nizam. There might be a bit of hope there after your lost Zainu Gulam this season.
Yeah. So yeah, we brought in two defenders which I never understand. We never really use them. It's a lot of weird decisions. I think every game there's questionable selections. I feel we know our defense are leaking. Our most reliable defender were making mistakes. No doubt about it. Yuki has been very reliable, very good servant of the club. But this season, some of the mistakes that were made was very, very bad. Then we brought in Afik, we brought in Abdul Kaim, but it puzzles me the fact that they never get to play together. I'm not so sure whether they feature together, maybe once. And then at some point, we have Barry playing in defense, and we have one of those people we signed mid-season on the bench. So I really don't understand some of the selections on how we are putting things out. And the replacement of Silvano is a midfielder, young midfielder, which again, we are overrepresented in midfield in some sense. And questionable signings, questionable selections, no plan B. I think you would have seen every time if we go behind, Van Huysen will come in and try to chase the game. The plan B is always the same. It doesn't really work, and we hardly get a lot of team goals in some sense with nice play set up. A lot of it is personal brilliance. Either Amy, critical, or Moresh go into its mazy runs and actually get the goals. But essentially, there's no goals spread around the team as well. I don't think any of so Danny Kim scored one from our midfield, and I think there's a couple of goals from our defense, but it wasn't spread around. So you shut off Moresh, you frustrate Moresh, you shut off Amy, we are done.
I think that's like the only shining light for this season. That's Amy Reka, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in the land of the blind, the one eye is the king. So, so I think when there's so many people who are underperforming, but I like Amy. But if you're gonna take Amy and you put it, don't go far. Just put it to Hougang or Tampines. He may not be in the first 11.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
So what would you rate?
Minus 5 maybe.
I mean, this is coming personal from a Geylang fan perspective. We understand that, the disappointment, but personally, do you feel that, that Geylang actually tried?
Sorry.
Like personally, do you feel that actually at one point of time that Geylang actually tried to fight for the season now?
I'm not sure. I think they do. I'm not so sure whether they really fight for it. I think they go out and play, but I don't see a lot of fight. I don't see a lot of determination. Well, you see in sport in patches. When of course when people kick their back,
Yeah.
they will stand up and fight. But when you are down, when you start conceding 2 goals, the heads went down, and there isn't enough leader to bring the team up, and everyone just looking around and just play the game and see out the game. So not very memorable. Hardly any memorable matches where we come back. I think I don't think we actually even drew once we went behind this season. So there's definitely, I don't remember any comebacks this season. Even don't forget about winning, right? Just getting a draw. I think once we concede, we are almost done.
Yeah, speaking of
And
draw,
if we score, we hope we don't concede enough that we lose, right? If we score, then we hope that it's going to be a draw game. So
yeah,
that's pretty much what I remember. It's a blur now.
understood. But hopefully, when the next season SPL coming up, we're gonna try to do a bit of review for each individual teams to see how they change their team from the last season to the next season. So sorry to keep the other two waiting, because we do have to check with Mr. Jeff, of course, his own team. But Mr. JB, over to you, Geylang International FC. Give us a rating. What do you think of their season?
I would give it a 4.
A 4.
Okay, probably. Okay, you know what? Probably a 3 as well. Probably the same rating as Balestier. I think Mr. Jeff actually sums it all up quite beautifully. It being like a team, imploding. Just like a big pot of soup. Sometimes it heats up and then it goes cold, or sometimes it just overspill. Yeah, I mean, what else can be said? I mean, Amy being the top scorer, it kind of paint the picture like 2 ways, right? You can view it. Yeah, I mean, he's one of the, I think, higher goal scorer in terms of our local players, I think. Yeah, I think he finished like just below Gabriel. I think he's short of 1 goal or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a breakout season for him. But I think the other top scorer is actually Moraes, which is I would say also, I mean, in one word, probably over reliant, on the two of them, because we're not sure whether the rest of the teams are even playing sometimes. So yeah, so I guess there's not much for me to add actually from what Mr. Jeff actually beautifully said. So I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I think it's gonna be a 3 out of 10, and let's hope that next season, with all the changes and everything else, let's hope that Geylang can somehow find the spark again and be the formidable Geylang that we once know and love, and that is hopefully it's not too far away.
Okay, over to you, Arunazi. What do you think? I mean, we're talking about Geylang. Well, of course, it's 6. Could have been worse. They are one of joint highest conceding team in the league with 52 goals, sharing next to Balestier 52 goals, after Tampines 51 goals. So, what do you think?
Yeah.
Like, their lack of scoring, they only have Edi Reka and Moraes scoring double digits, while the rest, in fact, their third highest scorer was actually Silvano, who actually left the team way long time ago. But he is the third highest scorer in the team, scoring 2 goals, and everyone else just kind of scores 1 or 2. So, what do you think about their season?
Yeah, with Geylang International, look, I don't have enough words to say or to explain what I think of their season. I was just looking at the stats myself. Conceded 52 goals, lost 13 matches. the same number of losses to Young Lions. They both share the highest losses in the season. Look, I think from top to bottom with Geylang International, look, I can't even say anything, man. Look, from top to bottom, I
You
think,
look very disappointed. This one.
yeah. Look, if there's a makeup of a football team, and if I'm the head coach of that football team, I got nothing against Coach Noali, but if there's a makeup of a football team, the team that he has at Geylang International is not one that I'll be thinking of building a team up as. If you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
We all speak about Zainul Gulam leaving for not national service to sign on as a regular, and then they have another goalkeeper, Hyrule. We can speak about all this, but if you were to ask me, if I were to start the season with Zainul or Hyrule as a goalkeeper, I would say to my board of directors or my management staff, please look for me for a better goalkeeper rather than these two. The fact that they got Zaiful in later part of the season, it doesn't help the case because the season is lost even before he came into this team. And then we look at the back line. I have to agree with no, I'll go one further. I won't agree with what Mr. Jeff mentioned. I think for me, Yuki, he has been the captain at Geylang. He has been a good servant for the club. But I think his downfall started last season. I saw a couple of matches from last season. I think it has already, it maybe it is for me. I saw it coming. I saw that he wasn't going to have a good season this season. I think last season I made some comments as well that look, I don't think he's mobile. I know he's is not young anymore. I don't think he's mobile. He doesn't have the speed. Look, I don't want to come off as being too critical, but I'll say facts as it is. I'll say it as it is. I don't think he's mobile. Maybe he's a nice person, that's why he's the team captain. I don't know. But look, the bright spark from last season, Harith Kanadi, he wasn't the same player this season.
Yeah.
Right back, I don't even know who's their right back. In all honesty, I don't even know if for me, if I know a player's name of sorts, then I think he has had a good season. Very up and down. They brought in Daniel Kim. I think I get the sense that he calms things down, but for a player that calms things down, he needs other good players around him as well, which I don't think he has.
Yeah.
Mr. Jeff might have a differing opinion on that, but this is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
They brought in Isden so much hype. I don't think he featured much as well. They have Fidaus. I won't even speak about him. They have wingers Chris Van Huysen. I think maybe a bright spark, but couldn't start as much because of the under 20 ruling. Maybe. But every time they brought him, like Mr. Jeff say, plan B, same plan B routine, try to get crosses into the box. Look, I can speak about all players at Geylang International, but it doesn't change my opinion that they didn't have a good season. And I think all four of us here can agree on that.
Yeah.
To sum it up for me, I think very disappointing. But same case as what Mr. Jeff mentioned with Balestier. What could they have asked more from, right? From them. I don't think we could have asked more from them. I think not being in the AFC Cup competition being cancelled was a good thing. I thought when the AFC Cup competition was cancelled, I thought it would have been a better thing for them. It would have been good for them so that they can focus on the league. But now, having said that, I
I
think
think it's kind of lucky that they avoided the AFC Cup.
look, I don't know whether it's luck. It can go two ways. Maybe if the players did travel for the AFC Cup competition,
They might
if
be
it had not
motivated.
been cancelled, they would have been more motivated. Look, I'm traveling for matches. They would have been more motivated. Look, now, sometimes players have the egos. You want to travel. Look, I'm now part of representing Singapore in our overseas competition. Their ego get boosted and whatnot. Maybe they'll play better. But the tournament got cancelled. I thought they were going to focus on the club, on the league. That obviously didn't happen. Perform the place. So yeah, my rating, I'll give it a 10 for me, and I don't even know why I give it a 2 out of 10.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
disappointment. Yeah, I mean that's for sure.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, the fact that they probably the best they probably can push, is probably fifth. I think fourth is a possibility if they would have done, they push the game a bit better I mean, we drop points against Young Lions and things like that, which usually
We
we get.
shouldn't, yeah.
We usually, I think it's a draw, a win, and a loss, right? So we drop 5 points from there. But I think the disappointment is not just at the end of the day the point tally and where they stand, but the fact that there's no philosophy. We don't know where or what is going to be what we are building on. There's no plan B. We go through 21 games, seeing the same thing without improvements and players being brought in, which doesn't really shift the bar or shift the needle up. So that's the disappointment. If we are at 6 and we are pushing, we get unlucky because there's a lot of factors, right? Referee in SPL is a big factor. So if we if the team was showing a lot of promise, really pushing it, we see the play. We get them, right? We may still finish 6, but I think 52 goals against and some very ridiculous kind of scoreline, LCS and things like that. We are leaking goals, right? If you have a goal drought, just play Gela, and then you'll probably break your goal drought.
But don't mind if I ask you, Mr. Joe, don't mind if I ask you. Personally, when you see this squad at the start of the season, of course.
It's a squad. I'm happy. I think the squad definitely have the right.
Yeah, but which position would you actually rank them in terms of squad wise? Where do you think they actually with the quality that they have? Where do you think they should finish?
I would say even if the best, I think they should end up in 4th. I feel in the best in a good run, I think they should be able to finish 4th. But the worst case scenario with the squad at the start of the season, they should at least be pushing the 4th place very, very hard. Not just fall. I would expect the team to be pushing hard upwards, not trying to run away from the teams below them.
Yeah.
So right, the last few games, I mean, among the fans, we are not looking up to see who we can catch up to, but we are looking back, trying to see whether somebody catches up with us, which is essentially Young Lions and Balestier. So that is the kind of that's the disappointment. But I think we should move to the team before it become a Geylang bashing night.
Okay, yes, we definitely have to move on. We have 5 other teams. So next up, number 5, which I feel personally relatively did well after international break. Because initially they were before the international break, they were around 6 and 7, fiddling around there, but they managed to reach a 5th, almost trying to push Tampines a little bit. Like Tanjung Pagar. So I'm gonna start with you, Mr. JD. What do you think about Tanjung Pagar this season? And also mind if I add that wonderful comeback they made in the final game of the season.
It's brilliant. It's great for me. My close. I'm a LCS supporter, right? So the close second is actually Tanjung Pagar. I feel that they've done very, very well, especially in the second half after the COVID break, right? And if you look at the table, you see, the only one loss the LBRX got is from them. Courtesy of them. And the last game, the last game is a bit of a comeback and this and that. I mean, we can talk about the last game and all the conspiracy theories and what have you, but they still managed to pull it off. And I think it's a bit unlucky because if you look at the number of draws, I think they have one of the highest draws in the league. I think and most of it is a bit I mean, if they look back and they kind of push a little bit, they would have done better. I think they have their fair share of a good foreign talent like I would say Rio Nishiguchi, Nishikawa, Blake as well, slowly, picking up the pace, bonding with the team. And of course, Luis Jr., banging in the goals. And they also have the benefit of Khairul Amri, which I feel did pretty okay, for someone who, who's considered, a senior legend in the team.
I mean, a few crucial goals.
Yep. And I feel the big resurgence is actually bringing in Shaki. I think that one has been one of the best highlights for them. I think aside from the wins against LB Rex and everything else, because Shaki, as you know, Shaki being Shaki is a, I like the way he plays. He's very commanding, no nonsense kind of defender. So definitely a great buy for Tanjong Pagar. And truth to be told, I think they actually pushed the envelope a little bit this season compared to last season. Last season it's all about rebuilding, and now they're slowly finding the footing. So it's great to see, that for Tanjong Pagar, especially to be finishing above Geylang and Balestier. I feel it's something to be happy about. I mean, looking at the way they actually started off almost in the same fashion the first half before the COVID break, and then the resurgence after that. So yeah, I would say I rank them pretty high. I would give them a 9 out of 10 just for the resurgence factor and the last game and how it ends. Yeah, I feel that they did pretty well, and I'm looking forward to
That's
seeing
pretty
more
high.
better
9
things.
out of 10, right?
Yeah, 9 out of 10. I think looking at the
Would you
team, I think they
consider
might
that
be
as
one of.
overachieving for them?
No, I wouldn't say overachieving lah, but coming off from where they are last season,
Yeah, I mean, it's a definite improvement.
yeah, and the way they managed to bring in Shaki and all these, and I think Blake
Good
slowly
signing.
finding foot. Yeah, I mean, good signings, and the whole team is coming together. Good chemistry. I feel yeah, just for the resurgence factor, that's why I give them a 9, because just looking back last season, oh man, it's not great last season if I can clearly remember. So yeah, they managed to dust themselves off. So yeah, 9 out of 10 for me.
Sure. Harunazi, over to you. Tanjong Pagar. Of course, I do want to bring one piece of news, and that is one of the players has officially retired, which is Ridwan Mohammed. I'm not sure. Have you had the privilege to play with him or be with him?
I think for a short while before his move to Arema, or I don't quite remember. Is it whether it's before his move to Arema or after he came back from Indonesia? If I'm not wrong, I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Did we share a field? Did we share? Or did we play on the same match? I don't think so. Training, maybe yes. Match, never.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about their season?
Okay, Tanjong Pagar, last season they finished last. This season they finished 5th. But let's not talk about the table. I think this team had the potential to push even further. Mr. JB mentioned about the signing of Shake. I feel their most important signing actually for this season is a goalkeeper, Zarfan. I think Zarfan was I think
Actually,
I think Zarfan stabilize. We mentioned about earlier how a goalkeeper can stabilize the back line, and I feel Zarfan did somehow about 50% managed to do that for Tanjong Pagar. It gave a confidence net for the defenders at the back. Yeah. They I think they could have pushed a little bit more. They don't have a huge number of wins. I think it's only 5, if I'm not wrong. With the squad that they have Rio, like what Mr. Jamie mentioned, Rio, Blake, Amri up front, Ridwan Mohammed, who is now retired, and they have Fatullah in midfield. I think they could where they finish is good. 5th position to me is acceptable for Tanjong Pagar, but the points tally I think could have been better. I think it could have been closer to 4th place. I feel.
Yeah.
I feel it's with the way that Tampines was going on the decline. I was expecting them to put in some more wins to even topple Tampines, go down further down the table. I was actually expecting that going into the season, but yeah, truth be told, a lot of improvements from the previous season, from last to 5th. I expect big things from them next season. Maybe they can do a Hougang next season, Tanjong Pagar. My
Could be
rating for
exciting.
them, my rating would be a 5 out of 10 for me. They could be better. I think they could be better this season. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Jeff, yourself, how impressed are you with Tanjong Pagar this season? Do you expect them to finish 5th after last season?
Well, I expect them to move up. First thing, they do keep majority of their players. Their bench, I think their coaching staff remains the same. They bring in Blake to stabilize, which they did, and I think their signing is a bit smart. I would say reasonable signing that shows that they identify some of the gaps they had last year and bring in the right people to try and fill those gaps. Whether they are 100% successful, yes and no, because I think if they are 100% successful, then they should definitely have done better than the 5 wins. I do agree. But at least I would think that they understood where the problem was into 2020 and brought in the right people to help and fix that. I think acquisition of Shake definitely help them some. I mean, they have experienced players. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's the age. Maybe those people on the wrong side of the scale in terms of age, but they are very experienced players. They know how to condition themselves. They can get into big games. So it's not going to be easy playing with Tanjung Pagar, but I think overall I would say 6 for them, given the player at their disposal. So that's my rating for Tanjung Pagar.
That's not bad. Okay. Moving on to now the top 4. And number 4 is, well, a team that represent us in the AFC Champions League and started off in relatively high before the international break, fighting for the top, in fact, very close to first and second, to, well, all I can see is a free fall. And that's Tampines Rovers, and I'm going to start with Harun Aziz first for this. Harun Aziz, what exactly happened with Tampines? How would you summarize and rate their season for this season?
I think coming towards the end of the season, I think Coach Gavin realizes that things are not going to get any better for them. And like I mentioned before in previous episodes, I think they did make some tweaks to their principles of play, attackingly and defensively. Kudos to Coach Gavin for that, because it takes it takes a bigger person to readjust after you find faults in your team, or you find certain things not going your way. And I believe Mr. Jeff would agree with me on that, with whatever that's happened at Geylang International. So to sum up the competition, I think we've spoken so much about Tampines Rovers this season. They went overseas to AFC Champions League. They got hammered. Performance was good, I think, only for the first 2 matches of sorts. We all understood the principles of play. We all understood the way that Coach Gavin wanted his team to play, but couldn't get the results. And in a way, when they came back from the AFC Champions League exploits, I think took a turn for the worst. They got quarantined. Players got down with COVID-19. They couldn't train for some time. And then it went spiraling down. I think for me personally, like I said, I don't have any issues with anyone. But if only my thoughts are, if Coach Gavin could have reacted quicker to that downfall, I think it could have saved Tampines Rovers season. Would they have been, with the current condition of the squad coming back from the Champions League, could they have been better than 4th? I don't think so, because we have to look, Hougang did start the season off very well before they start losing players through injuries. With the exploits of the AFC Champions League in mind, I think finishing 4th was how they could salvage a rather pretty bad season for Tampines. All in all, I'll give them a 3 out of 10. Not 3 out of 10 because of the exploits in the AFC Champions League, but 3 out of 10 because of how it all went spiraling down for Tampines. I think it could have been controlled much, much better, I felt.
Most definitely. But Mr. Jeff, over to you. I do want to emphasize a little bit. While yes, Tampines was on the free fall, but if you look at some of the scoreline this season, just from them alone, it's been absolutely ridiculous at one point. We have 7-3 with Hougang, we have 6-1 with Lion City Sailors, and yeah, whoever thought their draw with Albirex would be the main factor in the title race, but it's certainly not acceptable for this kind of team, especially, no offense, in SPL, throughout all of these teams, Tampines is definitely one of the highly regarded, one of the top teams in our league. Would you agree with like Harun Nazri's rating and the statement? Like, how would you rate their season?
So it must be the water at Tampines Hub. You drink the water there, you'll concede 50 over goals in this season.
Yeah, no
So,
offense. I think Tampines Hub has goals galore there. Yeah. Geylang and Tampines.
Yeah. So I think I think the aging backline plays a toll. The recovery, the traveling, and things like that. Great players, but again, I did mention Tampines suffered in 2020 because we packed the game very closely. That every week we cannot have 2 games, and it takes a toll for the older players to recover. And guess what? This year they're gonna be 1 year older. You don't need to be a genius to figure that out. Despite how much conditioning you do. So you try to play high press, but against faster team and aging backline, you're gonna get caught. And I think that's why they conceded 51 goals. Hey, you got a national team keeper in Shazwan. You have 2 ex-internationals, right? But again, it's because of the age. It is a problem, right? So overall rating, I would say 4. In terms of Tampines, they should. I think in general they would be pushing 3, third place at this point for me. It seems to me they are happy enough that they get into regional competition.
Yeah.
They may consider it's the saving grace to still qualify to the competition and hopefully do something good there. But overall, I felt that they lost the charismatic of Jordan Webb. Armin is not the same player. Yeah, most assists, but pretty one-dimensional in some sense. So Jordan brought a different kind of atmosphere, confidence and guile in the team that always make the opponents on the back foot, or you rile them up and things like that. So but I mean it's a plain vanilla, right? You just go down there, play the game, and that's it. So you're not going to get excited by this play. So yeah, I think 4 would be a fair rating for them. 4th place would be something which they think save their season. If not, if they don't qualify for regional competition, I think that would be a very, very bad season for them.
Yeah, because definitely at one point in time, I think like we were discussing as well with Harun Nazir and Mr. JB about towards the season end, at one point that we might see Tampines fall off. I believe Harun Nazir said that Geylang, Tanjung Pagar might actually push the fourth spot. So
Yep.
And if you look at Tampines last few matches, definitely after the international break, they only won 1 out of the last 9 matches, which does not look good on them. So 4 is the best rating.
Yeah, I think so. And one thing I agree with Harun Nazri is the fact that, I mean, Gavin towards the end kind of, take a bold step and give more trust to the youngsters. And I think they do show that, they are willing to fight for their spot. Even in the last match when I watched they play against Geylang, the youngsters, the young boys are pushing it to the players. So kudos to one thing is, I like the fact that Gavin has the guts to put the trust in the young boys in the last few games to have a go.
Yeah, most definitely. Mr. JD, over to you. What do you think on Tampines season? Is it the players? Is it the managers issue? Or should they done better? Or is this all right for them? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Tampines at some point, I think the hashtag Gavin out is more popular than Ole out at one point.
Yeah, there was trending.
Yeah, there
Gavin out,
was. Yeah, there was a moment. I think I don't know. It's probably is it over expectation? I don't know. Because honestly, before the AFC Champions League, they were really on a high. I wouldn't say on a high in the sense that they are like I would say overperforming themselves compared to last season, but more like
still in the mix in the cup
yeah,
run.
exactly. I mean, it's just Tampines being Tampines, doing Tampines things. And at one point, I think they banged in like 7 goals against Young Lions even before the Champions League. So all is good. So like what Mr. Jeff said, probably before the Champions League, the water at Tampines Hub is fine. Probably it's drinkable. So yeah, who knows? Yeah. So I mean, like what Harun Nazri mentioned, the first two matches of the AFC Champions League is not too bad. I have to disagree. I think that one is probably because of the scoreline, if anything else. Because of course the last few matches are, I mean, the scorelines are just forgettable for the least. It's one of the most painful period for them. Of course, I mean, traveling during this time isn't easy. We're not talking about pre-COVID times. Where players are more than ready. Mentally, physically. These are some of the challenges that COVID bring to all of us. So probably that may have taken a toll. I don't know. And of course, kudos to Coach Gavin. I have to agree with Mr. Jeff there for credit to the coach for being bold enough, to try new things, to still have faith in his boys. Although yes, the season really looks like a write-off already. They were also lucky that they pick up enough points to salvage that spot, without chipping ever, because of the first half of the season. So they were quite lucky for that. But of course, like you mentioned as well, the scoreline against Hougang 7-3, Lion City Sailors 6-1. You know, at that point of time, I'm not too sure whether they are already writing off the season or anything like that, because they have no problem scoring. That's for sure. I'm
Yeah,
actually
of course.
impressed.
Boris with 16 goals. Yeah, they have no
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, no problem scoring. Probably the back line. I'm not too sure. I think Madhu did pretty well the first half of the season. On the second half, I'm not too sure. He doesn't seem like himself, or probably I don't know how it goes.
Fallen in completely.
Yeah, and the two our two senior national once national players defender as well, like what Mr. Jeff said. Age is catching up quick. Uh, it's not easy. Everyone is not. I mean, not all the players are like Ronaldo. To be playing
No,
at
we
that
can never compare our players here to anywhere.
I'm just talking about pace here. I'm not even talking
Yeah,
about anything else. I mean, just
understood.
stamina wise. Of course, the closest that brings to memory is actually Durich, who also once played for
yeah.
Tampines. I think he has one of the best, I think, fitness banan for his age at that point of time as well. So perhaps being a striker and being a defender, the demands are different. So being a defender, you probably need more. And of course, you're going up against all these young guns and all these up and coming stars. So it's not so easy. At some point, it's going to take a toll on you. So yeah, I mean, for me, the last 10 games or so, if you were to just look at that, it's pretty bad, for Tampines. It's painful. And of course, I also agree with Mr. Jeff, losing Jordan Webb. You kind of lose that flair, that spark, that extra creativity, someone who bring in, a different sort of play, although yeah, Jordan Webb has his own, fans and those who are actually against the way he play, some call it play acting and etc. But that's for a different time. So I think Tampines, for me, I would give it a 3 as well.
Disappointing.
It just so happens that they managed to maintain that 4th spot. That's why I give them a 3. They were to lose a spot, I'll probably go further less. With the players they have, I think they could have done more, especially in the midfield and the attacking part of things, which they did, score quite substantially. Especially one of my favorite players for them this season is Taufik Suparno. I think he did pretty well for the number of minutes that he has. He's someone that I watched closely from last season, and I think he definitely stepped up to the plate when the need comes. And also, I think shout out to Mark Ryan Tan as well. That guy, I mean, he can run. I mean, he's probably young, yes, but another interesting up and coming player as well. So for me, yeah, 3 out of 10. I would say Gavin is quite lucky to not lose that spot and lose out in regional tournaments as well. So I mean, I don't know, man. It's just tough because
Very mixed field.
yeah, it's mixed bag because I really want him to do well. I feel like Gavin is one of the one of the I would say one of the coaches that I feel very strongly about, very highly about. So I do feel that he's gonna bounce back. So yeah, whatever that he gone through is a bit sad. Let's hope they
Okay.
improve next season. Yeah.
All right. Now moving on to the top three now. Third place, Hougang United, with of course the coach of the year and top goal scorer of the SPL. So I'm gonna start with you, Mr. Jeff, first. What do you think of Hougang season? Coach of the year, Coach Clement, and the top goal scorer Tomoyuki Doi. How impressed are you with them this season?
I think they're efficient. They play to. I think they set up in a way. They set up in the play. They bring in the players who can finish off those direct counter attack game that they kind of adopt. Speedy wingers in Nazaru, so they set up the way it is. I think I probably expect them to be fourth rather than third. So I think they did reasonably well. Yeah, they did reasonably well with the players that they have. Although they have some moments where I feel Doi kind of bailed them out. Where I mean, without Doi, they probably have lost a few points, right? He either salvaged a draw or he managed to. I think even again games like with the Young Lions and things like that, I think Young Lions were controlling until the point that Doi kind of pop up and scored that odd goal to give them the 3 points. So overall, I feel that they probably is 6, 7. I think I'm okay to give them 7. Overall, with the players they have, the setup that they put in, and also it does help that they have a national keeper, kind of stabilize it a bit more. Although sometimes the body language of Izwan doesn't really bring confidence that he doesn't like to be there. But I think overall he did contribute. You have the Singapore, the national team goalkeeper in between the sticks. I think does bring a lot of confidence in comparison. The first few games where Mukundun was a bit shaky, and then they bring Ridwan, it's also a bit shaky. But I think once they get Izwan, it's a bit more settled. The defense may not be, because I still see Anders coming in and out. Maksat was injured and things like that. So injuries plays a role. But I think overall, not as big as Albirex, but I feel they did fairly well, and I think they make their fans happy for sure. I think the fans are very happy.
I mean, that's definitely
So you got happy fans, happy team.
definitely. So what do you give? 7?
7.
All right, Mr. JB, over to you. Quick words on Hougang season overall with Tomoyuki Doi. What do you think their season will be with him or without him?
Yeah, I think it'll be a huge difference without him. I mean, him being there, I mean, it's an extra boost on confidence, and whoever is the defender for the night or for the evening or for the afternoon wouldn't want to go up against him. And he's very versatile. He knows his position well, and I mean, as a striker, what more do you need, right? You just score goals, and that's what he does. I think Hougang a bit unlucky with some of the injuries that they got with Maksat and probably Idraki and all this. I think if not, they may be able to push the envelope further, probably. And yes, I have to agree with Mr. Jeff. Having a national goalkeeper in between the sticks does help. Does bring a bit of confidence a little bit. Although
Tricky at times, but confident, yeah.
Yeah, although I mean their defense, isn't the best, still leaking here and there, but I do feel that because they have no problems up front, I think that's where they are right now. I think enough is to be said for Doi. I think he's the top scorer and everything else. I think a special shout out to probably Shawa Anwar. I think he did pretty well in terms of assists. I don't think he scored as much, but at
Yeah.
least he does contribute. And of course, I think in the past podcast or something, I think it's Harun Najri mentioned probably Hafiz Sujad as well. He's slowly turning into Mr. Versatile as well. Pretty good at what he's doing. Coming in, not much minutes to him, but slowly improving. So overall, I think Hougang, of course, if you look up at the top two, I'm not expecting them to finish above, those two up there, but for them to be doing where they are now, I think it's great. So I think I will give 8 out of 10 for me.
8 out of 10. Harunazi, over to you. How do you feel?
So I think before the first international break, they were flying. I even mentioned that I think they're gonna push the top two teams all the way right down to the end of the season, last day of the season, and then of course with international break and then with players in and out through injuries and whatnot, I think it was unlucky for them because I think from top to bottom they have a very good squad. I think they have a very good squad from top to
Yeah.
bottom. Of course, with the inclusion of Izwan into the team, that made it better. Of course, it brought the team up a higher level. Not to say that the rest of the team is not good, but it always elevates you when a good player comes in. I feel as the season wore on, I don't know why, but I have my gut feeling says I'm gonna give you my rating first. I'm gonna give a 6 out of 10 for them. Why? Why 6? Because I think they can do better. I think same. If you take a look at the table,
Yeah.
okay, hold on. Let me take a look at the table. If we were to take a look at the table,
I mean, to be
34
honest,
points.
compared to the top two, they are
Yeah,
very top, but
I feel I don't know. My gut feeling says that if they have been lucky with injuries, in if there wasn't too much break, I think at the end of the day, the breaks in between the international breaks sort of killed their momentum in a way. I saw for myself, and then as well as the injuries. But I think they could have pushed it a little bit more. I don't know why the trend for me this review, I'm giving low
because we just
scores,
keep
low
pushing
ratings
more and
because
more and more.
yeah, I just want teams to get better. I don't know why. I don't know whether it's the coach in me that wants to see the league improve or whatnot.
You have high
But
expectations.
yeah, maybe I have high expectations of the league and the teams. I think hopefully that's good because I want the league to get a better, right, to improve. But yeah, I think they could have with Suboy out. We're gonna go into Albrechts later.
Yep.
With Suboy being out for Albrechts and Albrechts not being the team that they were past seasons, I think they could have pushed both Albrechts and Lions T Sailors to the end if they had been lucky with injuries and not too many breaks in between. I feel so. 6 out of 10 for me. Could have been better. Could have
Could have
pushed
been
it.
better.
Could have brought the points a bit closer between third and second place or first place.
Yeah, and like shouldn't leave a gap way too big, like how it is right
Yeah.
now. But
Yeah.
we understand.
Yep.
All right, moving on to the top two, which is of course the biggest two. We've both only one loss throughout the whole season, and it's a race down to the wires. Unfortunately, Albirex is second, and Mr. JB, I will start with you first. Are you happy with Albirex being second? Or were you like actually surprised that, given the fact that they were top of the league for quite a while, they were being top of the league before LCS officially topples them over. What do you think about this season?
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned that perfectly. Initially, when the season started, of course, knowing their history in our league, of course, I expect them to do the same. But as the season go by, somewhere mid-season, when they start to kind of drop points here and there,
Yeah.
yeah, then you kind of have that glimmer of hope that hey, maybe maybe they're not so formidable after all. I don't think this is the best LBRX team as compared to the past few seasons. I think
Yeah. I
overall,
think the other seasons they were running away.
yeah, they were literally running away, and yeah, we all know what happens after that. So um, I don't know much about their players, to be honest. So but looking at them as a team, I mean, they do keep it uh, straightforward, kind of football from some of the matches that I see. They play pretty. I wouldn't say pretty football, but it's there. They do bring something to the table. It's just that I think they are a bit unfortunate in the last few games leading up to the great finale where they slowly start to drop points here and there. Um, I actually feel that in fact, I think in one of the podcasts, I think I did mention that actually I still predicted for them to actually win the league this season, despite me being an LCS fan. But yeah, we all know what happens after that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there are standout players, of course, Suboy,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, phenomenal player. I think
What was your rank?
my rank for LBRX, I think I will give 7.
7.
7, yeah, 7. I think being at the top, at some point you're gonna go down for some reason. But looking at the way they finish, I don't think there's anything to be not proud of, I would say. Although yes, that last game is a little bit, I kind of expected more from them, to push for the win. But yeah, but I don't see them put too much of a wrong foot, in some of their matches. Just so happens that Tanjong Pagar managed to nick that win for some reason. Even the game against LCS, I think they did pretty okay, you know,
Yeah.
leading up to that game, and the way that game turned out, and LCS kind of sit back, relax, and you get punished. So yeah, so for me, I'll give a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Harun Nazi, next to you, Albirex. Do you
Um,
actually feel that at one point in time that they were actually going to win the league at the final game?
of course, on the last day of the season, I thought they were gonna win it with the way, and I kept texting you guys in the group chat saying
We were updating each other.
if Lions T Sailors were to not get a goal, they're gonna mess it all up
Yeah.
and not give us the local pride that we were all expecting or hoping for. But Everex, I think I've said it a couple of times before. I don't think they're as formidable as they were 2 or 3 seasons ago. I think maybe it's we all know Albrecht players, they come to our country, they play in our league 1 season, and then either they go back to Japan or they'll get snapped up by our local clubs. But I think somehow last season and this season, maybe the recruitment hasn't been as good as before. Because I think 2 seasons ago, they built a reputation as every time you go to Jurong East Stadium, you're gonna get a tough time. If you were to go out of the stadium with a draw, that's already a bonus, some sort like that.
Yeah.
There's a saying, every time you go into Jurong East. So yeah, I don't think they're as formidable as they were before, of course, with the change in players and whatnot. Yeah, where else can they finish besides second or third, right? We don't expect an Albrecht's team with 3/4 full of Japanese players, good technically sound players, to finish anywhere bottom, lower than third position, I feel.
Yeah.
Unlucky with the injuries to Suboy. Could he have made a difference? Yes, certainly, for sure. I'm confident of that. Natural striker, natural goal scorer. His touches in the box. His movement as a striker is
It's amazing.
amazing,
Very good. Just
brilliant,
very
superb.
unfortunate.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunate that he got the injury. Hopefully, our country can get him back. For whichever club, I just want to see him back. Uh, we want to get as many talented players as possible in our country. If we already have them, why not sign them up to any clubs and then make sure they stay here? When we have good and talented players in the country, it will only elevate our game, it will only elevate our football, and it will get people to talk about our football in the regions and whatnot. But coming back to Albrecht, finishing second for them for sure it's going to be a disappointment. But for me, it is time for our local clubs to step up and step up. They did. Ratings for Albrecht, again, someone with high expectations who wants the league to do well, for all the teams to do well. I'm gonna give
The high
Albrecht.
expectation.
Yeah, because somehow I know that the team is not as strong as it is 2 seasons ago. I'm looking, when I do my ratings, I'm partly basing it out of cohesiveness as a group, efficiency as a group. And I think their cohesiveness and their efficiency as a group, Albrecht, for this year and last season has not been top of the pile. So for now, I'm going to give their rating season end review at 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. And Mr. Jeff, the second spot, Albirex. Who ever thought that, their one and only loss with Tanjung Pagar would be a main factor. Their last minute draw with Lion City Sailors was a big factor. And their 0-0 draw with Tampines Rovers was a big factor in the entire race. Like, do you see this? Of course, it's a disappointment to finish second, but do you see this as like we've seen Albirex being first for quite a while before LCS last matches of resurgence pushing for the top, and they officially did. Would you still consider them having a good season despite just one loss?
I think anything in the top two, I think would be. I mean, let's be realistic. The Lion City Sailors investment started last year, and I think we kind of expected that they would finish second anyway, with some of the early season signings that Lion City Sailors made. I think a lot of people kind of predict that Lion City Sailors would be a runaway champion, but that didn't happen. Albirex kind of pushed them all the way until the last day. I don't see, but in fact, it was Lion City Sailors kind of pushing them. I think they would have, got it when they drew with Lion City Sailors, that last minute goal. But then somehow Tampines show up and do a defensive masterclass in Jurong East. So I don't think they should be totally disappointed. I would give a 7 on their rating. If Suboy has not been injured, or even the reserve striker who's supposed to replace Suboy also got injured, they are basically playing with a third-rate striker, and some of the local boys that actually stepped up, Fairuz and I can't remember the other guy's name. I think they would definitely have won. I'm pretty confident they would have won the league if they keep the squad, the 90% of the squad fit, especially Suboy. So I think 7 out of 10 would be my rating for them.
Most definitely. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I would say they definitely give us a season to remember, that's for sure, because it's a race down to the wire. Now moving on to the champion of SPL. Finally, the word local pride is here. The first local team to win after 7 years, I believe. 2013, 2014 was the last one. Who ever thought, that it takes a lot of changes to be made just for a local to actually topple off? That's what people may say. It takes a rebrand, brand new direction, new owner, brand new player signing, quality signings. LCS are
national team signing.
Yeah, national team signings. LCS is the champion. Gonna start with you, Harunasi, first. Your rating, Lion City Sailors.
My rating, Lion City Sailors. 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Solid.
All right. Why? I'll give you my whys. Why not a 10 out of 10 first? Because I think there were a few matches which we expected them to win, but they did not. Like the match against Albrecht, they were leading, but again, the same problem persists. They could not find the second goal, and Albrecht scored the late winner. I think there's a record. I might be wrong. I read somewhere about this. I think Coach Kim managed about 10 or 11 matches, if I'm not wrong. And he went undefeated in all of the matches. He did not lose any match. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, he did not lose any of the matches. With 4 draws and the rest of it being wins. Yeah. So
Yes.
I might be wrong somewhere in there. So, and I feel the 4 draws that he had, I might have watched the matches, I might have not. Just top of it, the matches that they had is all down to the fact that they could not get the extra goal, the goal that they needed, or they could not finish off the match.
Yeah.
One thing that what's the word? It slipped off my mind. One thing that I think with Lions T Sailors is, yeah, people always talk about playing nice football, good football. But I think what Coach Kim tried to do with Lions T Sailors was he brought I don't want to say the Korean style of football or what we see football
The
nowadays, the
different style.
pressing. Yeah, you can see, and the positive. I don't want to be the one that looks like I'm only supporting local clubs because local clubs is a champion.
But it is exciting football.
but
They will.
yeah, to me, it is what it is. It is whatever that I saw. If you can get, maybe it's too early, maybe it's early days, we don't know. But if you can get a local players to run for you, let's quote example Faris Ramli. If you can get Faris Ramli to run non-stop for 90 minutes, chasing after your opponents, your defenders, I don't think Faris Ramli will run for any local coach, man. I'll be very honest. This is going to go about. You're implying Faris Ramli is not professional and whatnot. I'm not saying that, but it takes a mentality switch for these things to happen. It takes a mentality switch for this to happen, and I think that's what Coach Kim brought to Lions T Sailors, and you know, I hope there are more positives to come down the road. I don't think I don't want to jinx it, but I was about to say I don't think they're gonna perform well in the AFC Champions League next season, being the first season in the competition. I hope they do, but yeah, 9 out of 10 for me. Very happy, finally. But like you mentioned, Faiz, it took a lot of changes before we eventually see. And I think I saw a comment. I was scrolling through Instagram. There was one dude who mentioned DPMM is missing the party. You just imagine if DPMM was also here.
Yeah.
It could have been another challenge for Leicester.
Be a
So
three-way race. Yeah.
yeah, maybe. So yeah.
9 out of 10, Mr. Jeff. Are you happy with LCS winning the league?
I know, man.
Or do you feel like he's cheating?
So first thing, I don't think Coach Kim make Faris run. I think it's Forest Lee checkbook that makes him run. So
I think with that checkbook,
that
anyone would
checkbook
run.
actually make a lot of people run anyway.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. So am I? So the question is, am I happy that LCS won? I would say I'm happy that we have some challenge. But it is quite telling to me the amount of resources that needs to be pumped in for us to make Albirex, which is basically an under 23 quote unquote developmental squad, to overtake that. So in some sense, yeah, but in some sense though, we are way behind. These are university students coming out, trying to venture out of Japan and try to use the Albirex team here in Singapore as a stepping stone to bigger things, right?
Yeah.
So that shows the gulf in standards. In this, if you can get university players at that level, and Albirex and Lion City Sailors, it's decked with national team players plus foreigners. It's almost like the Singapore team in the in the Malaysia Cup days, right? You have your national team plus 3 foreigners on top of it. So yeah, so I think I'm happy that there's a challenge that happened. If not, Albirex would have been a runaway champion again, for sure. I kind of disappointed that LCS doesn't really impose their their quality throughout the season. It's still under Vidma, and then a bit under, I think it's Robin, and then Coach Kim. So a lot of changes there. They never really impose consistently. Of course, they impose against Geylang, it's 0. But consistently across the season, they have problem, especially when Stipe is out. I think the problem that they don't get the second goal is they make very good play, they get the goal, Song kind of score, or some other midfielders kind of score, but then they lack that killer instinct that Stipe would have brought. So Stipe was out, couldn't have given that age, right? Song is not the number 9, for sure. So that kind of bite them a bit, again, in terms of just having the right players to fill in the gap. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna go out there and get good striker. I don't think they're gonna keep Song as that forward play, right? They're gonna get a real number 9 to fill up. If Stipe is gonna be around, then Stipe plus somebody else.
Imagine if they get Tomoyuki, right?
Yeah, but again, if they are ambitious, and their ambition is beyond just the league, they will go for somebody much bigger than Tomoyuki Doi.
Yes.
Tomoyuki Doi would be a reserve, if the ambition is big enough, right? And yeah, I think they have the money to pay Tomoyuki Doi to sit on the bench. So to come in and play local matches, right? And do their rotation. But they will definitely need to bring bigger players to give them a good account in the Champions League.
Definitely. So lastly, Mr. JB, take us to the end now, the final team to rate.
Faiz,
Lion City Sailors.
Sorry, Faiz. I
yes.
think if Lion City Sailors would like to do it, they could even register 2 separate teams for both the league and the AFC Champions League. And it has been done before by a club in Thailand not too long
ago. If they have the resource, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible, but
True.
it takes time, it takes building, and this might be the first step, winning the league, winning your own league first, to kind of, put a stamp to what your team is. So, Mr. JB, your final ratings of Lion City Sailors, aka the men's series of SPL, or the new Newcastle of the SPL with the new owners all. So what do you think? Happy with us, yes?
Let's see. Happy winning it, yes. But it's more like happy because the investment paid off.
Yeah.
It's not something where it's another like Greece of Euro or something, those fairy tale kind of win. It's how to say, with the amount of investment you're making, you have to win, right?
True.
If you don't win, it's a massive disappointment. I mean, you can probably lose out by 1 point, but it will be a disappointment because you have invested so much. And I believe Harun Nazri and also Mr. Jeff already kind of paint everything else that needs to be said, because it is a national team by itself already at this current moment as we speak. And on top of that, they have, I'm not sure the actual numbers, but they still have players on loan, to all the rest of the clubs in the SPL. And these are all their assets, and they can, this is literally almost like a game of Monopoly. You can just bring who you want, get rid who you want. You can just revamp everything in one season. They can afford to do that. Yeah. So I mean, bringing in the Mr. $3 million man, Diego Lopez, and Harris as well. Another big acquisition. I don't think these players coming cheap at all.
Yeah.
So with the investments that they did, I'm happy that they won. Finally. But as what Mr. Jeff mentioned, it shows that the standard of our league where it is now. LB Rex is like
just to win.
LB Rex is like the benchmark right now, and like what Mr. Jeff rightfully said, they are like literally an under 23 development kind of team over here. It's not even the actual LB Rex Niigata playing in the G League at all. So yeah, so I must say that investment paid off. Yes. Happy as a fan. Yes. With the players that we have, pretty stacked. Now it's a question of whether can you retain these players. I think Stipe did very well. I think he's the top scorer. I think for LCS. And I think LCS are still looking for their identity. I feel, amidst winning the trophy and everything else, I think they're still finding their identity. I mean, first it was Vidmar, then Robin, and then followed by the current coach. I think they're still trying to find that sort of identity. There are some games where you feel like, hey, it's almost like a suspect. It's like, hey, this might be a sham. It might not go so well. And there are times where there are some clubs that actually push them, beyond, but they still somehow manage to nick it, either through individual brilliance or anything like that. And this is, this is telling in football. In this day and age where sometimes identity or style of play sometimes doesn't determine results. Sometimes it's individual brilliance. It's all it takes. And yes, you're slowly looking at players like Gabriel, Faris running for the ball, scoring, doing the things that that they do at the moment. Shadan as well, another good shout out. So you can see that all these names that I mentioned are literally in our national team at the moment. And rightfully so, deservedly so. So for me, I wouldn't rate them too high. I wouldn't put a 9 like Harun Nazri would, because it's kind of expecting, for them to do where they are now, and now next season they're going to expect more, even going into the Champions League, we are expecting them to go, probably further with the players that they have just right now. So for me, I would give probably a 7 out of 10.
7.
Yep. I will give a modest 7 out of 10. I really want them to do well. I want them to, push the boundary a little bit. At the moment, yes, they are the team to beat, right? But at the same time, I don't want them to go too far off, as our neighboring leagues are like JDT, as a fan, that's how I view it. Sometimes you kind of progress too quick.
Yeah.
You kind of leave the tail behind for the rest of the club, and the rest of the clubs are playing catch up, and that may or may not be good for the league, So, and for me, like JDT, for example, they've won 7-8 straight or something like that. It's slowly but surely it doesn't feel special anymore. So for LTS, yes, this is definitely something special, something to be said, to shout, celebration mood and everything else. But it's more of looking ahead. Now all eyes are on them to to see where they are, like what next, for them. Now they've won the league, so what next? You're gonna have to raise the bar. So yeah, that's my rating, 7 out of 10 for LCS.
All right. Well, with that said, we have come to the end of our SPL ratings review, season end review. Firstly, I want to say thank you guys, of course, Mr. Jeff, Arinas, Mr. JD. Thank you for taking your time to do these ratings, especially because it's been a very interesting season, and we are definitely hoping for a much more exciting season, maybe more than a two-way race. Who knows? Like Mr. Nazi expects every single team to step up. Who knows?
At the top or at the bottom?
Uh, all around.
Everyone.
So of course, the next time we're probably gonna talk about Singapore will probably be the upcoming tournament, the AFF Suzuki Cup. Of course, do stick around. Do check us on YouTube and Spotify. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you guys new, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys, everyone. Take care.